Welcome to Space Oddities again. How is everybody out there? Hope you're all well. Who we got in? Who's in the chat? If you haven't written in the chat so far, just say hi so we know who we're talking to. Gerard's in, Derek's in, Ian's in, usual suspects. And there we are. Kevin's in. Hi, Kev. Hope you're well. Hope everybody's well. We'd like to thank those of you who have joined us over the last couple of days for what was the most momentous weekend in space exploration with the Starship IFT-5 flight test on Sunday, which you probably already know. This almost certainly was absolutely astonishing. Followed by the launch of Europa Clipper yesterday to Jupiter's moon Europa, getting there in back end of 2029. So it's been an astonishing few days for us. So thank you for joining us on the live streams. This evening, I'd like to welcome to Space Oddities our special guest, Mr. Robin Huber in Germany. How are you, Robin?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. I'm well. Not as good as you are, I guess, but okay.
So, Robin, for the benefit of those who haven't, and why not, read the details of the live stream, could you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Robin. I'm working at Saxavord Spaceport. I'm based in Munich, heading the European efforts to make sure that we are perceived as being Europe's gateway to space, or Europe Spaceport, or one. Yeah,
Fantastic.
A lot of work to come, and a journey we have had thus far.
Because you've had quite a varied background, haven't you? So I read. So
say again, sorry.
You've had quite a varied background. You've done lots of different things.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a space engineer, so I'm learning every day, and that's makes it all the more fun actually to be working here.
Yeah, absolutely. So how does Saxavord compare to your previous experiences? Something completely different for you?
It is completely different. It's much more exciting and much more fun, I have to say. And as I would say, the learning curve is quite steep. And and jokes aside, also seeing what we are trying to achieve and what we will be achieving, and the goals we are looking for, it's actually something really to look forward to. So it's a real honor to be part of it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. We're not jealous at all. Drew Deska says, welcome from the Copernic Observatory in upstate New York. You're most welcome, Drew. In fact, we were talking about the Copernic Observatory only yesterday with Lou, weren't we? Because Lou Mayo, who unfortunately can't be with us tonight because of other engagements, he was at the Copernic Observatory for the event at the weekend, and sounds an absolutely amazing place. Anyway, Robin, we'll come back to you a little later, if we may.
Sure.
Just relax and try not to fall asleep. Like somebody I can mention. So you're never going to live that down, Michael.
I know.
I have no coffee with me.
Okay. Depressed. I know what comment. It's coming. It's coming. They told me. They wouldn't lie. So there we are. Okay. So we are a little thin on the ground this evening. Lou can't be with us. Roger has got other engagements. Daz is on hotel Wi-Fi, so he might keep popping in and out because we all know what hotel Wi-Fi is like. Michael, unfortunately, looks like he's staying with us. So there we are. So we've got we are thin on the ground tonight. So, but never mind, it happens. People do have other commitments. And
I would also like to mention that Aaron is here in audio, just not video.
Oh yes, sorry, Aaron. I keep forgetting you there, mate. Great apologies. Aaron is with us in spirit, if not body, as it were. So Aaron, unfortunately, he was in an observatory recently with his laptop, and the laptop decided it wasn't going to connect to the internet anymore, and he's had big problems with his video. But we got him in audio. How are you, Aaron, anyway?
Doing well. Glad to be here, and I can vouch for the comet. I've seen it the last 2 nights.
Have you really?
Yes.
It's quite spectacular, allegedly.
Well, it's nice. Even from our light-polluted skies near Houston, it's still pretty impressive.
It's got a very long tail, hasn't it?
Yeah, I was seeing about 3 degrees of tail in the binoculars.
Wow.
So yeah, pretty impressive.
So that's what
some people have called it in the. Sorry, some people have called it in the UK. I saw somebody called it from the Great Orme in North Wales yesterday.
Wow.
So, lovely shot.
So anyway, moving on. just a reminder that if you would like to buy our Space Oddities merchandise, we have the Space Oddities shop, and I'll put the QR code on the screen for you now. You can scan the code. Apologies again that the link to that doesn't actually pop up in the chat at the same time. This is a bug that our software provider is working on still. They haven't fixed it. So if you'd like to go to the Space Oddities shop, you can scan the QR code. And we have a plethora of T-shirts and hoodies available there. The T-shirts are £25, including UK postage and packing. The hoodies are £40, including UK postage and packing. And jolly good they are too. And you don't want to be without those. So that's that. If you would like to support Space Oddities, you can buy us a coffee, of course. You can scan the code and go and buy us a coffee at the Buy Me a Coffee site. All money that you give us, and we are really very grateful for the money. And by the way, thank you, Gerard, for your donation already this evening. All the money goes towards keeping the channel running because, as I always say, we have bills to pay like everybody else. And we've got quite an intense period coming up over the next few months. So any donations would be gratefully appreciated. Otherwise, we're in trouble. So no, we'll be fine. But your donations do help with running costs and keeping it going. So that's the housekeeping out of the way. What we're going to do now is we'll go to the news and then we'll have a chat with Robin. As I said, Roger's not with us tonight, but we have got him on video. He's done a video for his presentation tonight of the Guide to the Night Sky and the Viewer's Gallery. And just a word of warning, I haven't played more than the first few seconds yet, but it appears to work. So let's just hope it keeps working. So let's go to the news. And just give me a second to get myself set up here. Not a great many news items this week. Let's go to the most important one, of course, that we're never going to forget. The launch of the Starship on Sunday. And it was an historic day for space exploration. I've just put a few bits of video together showing you the launch, the landing of the booster, that incredible landing from two different viewpoints, from the tower and from the booster itself, and then the landing of the Starship in the Indian Ocean. So let's go with this. Or not, hang on. My mouse pointer seemed to disappear. Oh. 1 second, please. It's come back. Right. I knew we'd have problems. Okay, we'll come back to that a bit later. Also, in the news this week, of course, was, as I said, yesterday's launch of Europa Clipper. And this is not working for me either.
Oh, no.
No, it's okay. I've got it under control. Don't worry.
Really quick news items today.
Okay, well, why don't we go over and have a chat with Robin while I sort this out? As I always say, the perils of live broadcasting. So let's just kill this for the moment. Go back here. Okay. Right. I'll leave you in the capable hands of Michael then, Robin.
Okay. All right. Welcome, Robin. I'd like to talk to you about Saxavord. First of all, could you do a quick rundown of the history of Saxavord? I understand it was originally the size of an RAF radar station up there, and what developments came about, that brought it into a launch site.
Sure. First of all, I saw Ian asking a question. I'll come back to his to answer his question later. So just bear with me, Ian, a little moment. So giving you a history of Shetland Islands or Saxavord Spaceport, or Saxavord as such as a location. So first of all, Saxavord was opened as a radar site in 1939 to watch over the Northern Sea for incoming airplanes. It was modernized in the 50s to the accommodations and to the site, how it looks like today. It was decommissioned in 2006 at the end of the Cold War and recommissioned in 2018 as we saw increased Russian activities coming in from the Northern Sea. So the Royal Air Force radar site was recommissioned, and in I think around 2017, 2016, there was a SEPTA report commissioned by the UK Space Agency, which mentioned that Saxavord or the Shetland Islands would be one of the best locations in the UK for vertical orbital launches, as it is fairly far up north, and it offers direct accesses to certain orbits in high inclination, most importantly to sun-synchronous and polar orbits. And based on that, we decided to start the adventure of creating a spaceport. So Shetland Space and Telemetry was incorporated in 2017. We have put in the planning application for construction in 2019, if I remember correctly, started construction 2021. And fast forwarding, as you may have seen, we had first stage test from Rocket Factory this year on the launch stool, and are looking forward to the first launches coming up next year.
Great. Yeah, we saw the test flight, the test firing of the first stage. I understand four engines were test fired on that test, and there was an anomaly. Unfortunately, it wasn't successful. Can you mention anything about that?
Well, first of all, I will say I'm really amazed and impressed by what Rocket Factory has been able to achieve in these years. Because if we, we all see, and you said in the news, we all look at Starship and how it works well. But what we don't see is all the anomalies and all the, I call it successful failures, and all the development efforts which go in there. And if you see what a company has done with a fraction of the financial means like SpaceX had, it is absolutely amazing what they have achieved. Being German, I will say it's down to German engineering.
Of course, yes.
But then,
yes.
And British hospitality.
Like
Islands.
Robin, you were born diplomat.
But then I remember saying, I think Rocket Factory having over 80 nationalities working for them, so it can be not only Germans. No, but again, it's obviously it was a setback. I will say I'm happy that the setback came that early in the learning curve or in the development, because we had a lot of we'd have a lot of takeaways and a lot of learning from what happened. I think the lessons are learned, and Rocket Factory is. Sorry, I'm looking at what's happening. No worries.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Robin. And how many launch pads are proposed at Saxavord?
Sure, and I'll try to include the answer to Ian in that question, Michael, if I may.
Yeah.
So the spaceport is based on an 87-hectare peninsula called Lambanes. We have planning permission to build up to 3 launch pads.
Wow.
We have place on the ground to build potentially more depending on demand. The spaceport also includes 3 integration hangars, payload processing facilities. Obviously, we will have all the adjacent storage facilities to store, let's say, rocket parts, dangerous goods, dangerous commodities, explosive and hazard goods, all which is necessary. Coming also within the facilities, I don't know, Michael, sorry if I preempted one of you other questions.
Okay.
Then we will obviously also have a mission control center, including a range control center and launch control center, obviously to accommodate for the launches. I think the exception of our spaceport, when you compare it to others, is that we have accommodation within 10 minutes of the launch site, so which is quite comfortable, let's say, for our launch customers, because they take the breakfast and then have a 5 to 10 minute drive to get to the launch site. I think I was told in Alaska you have a 2-hour drive, I was told, so that's quite close. Ian, we have for the moment 150 beds. We are planning to build further accommodation to host up to 250 beds. For us, Unst Island itself has 600 inhabitants, and I think there are other hotels or bed and breakfast facilities. So you're more than welcome to join to watch a launch. For the moment, we don't have any launching platform or view platform, but there are a few spots which we have identified to watch. So I hope that answers it.
Yes. Yes, I was going to ask about visitors in the future for launches and that sort of thing. Can you talk a little bit about logistics? It's quite remote up at Shetland. I made the journey to Shetland back in 2003, and it took a day to get, and 2 flights, one from the Midlands to Edinburgh, and then another one from Edinburgh to Shetland. And how do you go about taking things like materials for rockets and that sort of thing, and fuel, consumables and that sort of thing up there?
So let's remember also that Shetland Islands are hosting quite an industry. I mean, it's one of the major hubs for oil and gas industry in the UK. It's also a hub for a major fishing industry. So it may be remote in the Northern Islands, but it's very well connected to the mainland. I would say the advantage of being remote but yet connected is that the Shetland Islands are very self-sustainable or self-sustained. So if, let's say, there is bad weather and there is no ferry being able to coast or to ship into harbor, I think the Shetland people know how to get along for a few days. Okay. Speaking of which, we have one daily ferry going from Aberdeen, which is passenger and cargo, to get into Lerwick, the main island. We have a daily, also a cargo ferry only, which is open bulk for the dangerous goods, as you mentioned. Yeah. We have over 20 daily flights coming in from Aberdeen, from Glasgow, from Inverness and Edinburgh. So the Shetland Islands are not that remote, let's put it this way.
Yeah, perhaps it's not as remote as it was 20 years ago when I went.
Probably, yeah.
And because I remember the day that we were supposed to come back to fly to Edinburgh, we were actually fogged in, and no flights in and out of Shetland. And we opted to come back by the overnight ferry instead. So yeah. So we know about RFA with their RFA-1 rockets. I know they've got further development rockets in the future with that. What about other companies flying rockets from Saxavord?
So obviously we have been talking to every major European launch company. What we have, so you will know that we have also hosted engine tests for High Impulse in the past. We have hosted the engine test for Latitude, the French company, in the past as well. We have signed an agreement or pre-agreement with Skyrora, as we have been the chosen Pathfinder launch site with Lockheed Martin. So we had been in touch with Firefly at the beginning when Firefly was supposed to be the launch vehicle. We are talking to ABL as part of the Pathfinder launch. Wow. I'm trying to think of who I may have forgotten, but that's the ones, let's say, I can mention publicly.
Yeah, right. Okay, so
we understand.
Sounds like it's quite a future for Saxavord as a spaceport then. Good luck to everybody working there.
Because this, the opening of Saxavord obviously coincides with this incredible growth in the number of private rocket companies. They just seem to be popping up everywhere now. It's unbelievable that just in the last few years we've seen so many companies start up.
There are quite a few, and let's say our difficulty is to know who will be surviving on these companies, and so we only have to only have 3 launch pads, but on the other side you have 65 companies who or more who want the launch pads. So obviously some companies are much more mature, obviously, as the ones I mentioned. There are others I didn't mention who are making nicely and quiet progress. well, if you ask me who will be launching in 5 years' time from Saxavord, I would say I don't know yet. I will privately have my bets. One of the bets obviously will be Rocket Factory, as they are quite advanced and quite matured in their development. And for the others, let's see. The more important question also will be actually for Europe. Let's say, how many launch vehicles will Europe need? So we all see in the US that the US has gotten itself into a monopoly of SpaceX, so near monopoly with SpaceX and Falcon 9. And I'm pretty sure, I read some news that NASA and the Department of Defense is looking to widen, let's say, the reach of launch vehicles on which it can rely on, just to create resilience. So I think that's one of the topics I would eye. Is we all love competition, but if competition ends in you having only one supplier, then I'm not sure competition has won. So
no, absolutely, and especially with all the problems with ULA, with Blue Origin, and people basically not delivering on time or on budget. Obviously NASA are trying to widen the pot, as it were, to bring other companies on board. Yeah,
but I mean, just to use a fine example. I mean, we spoke about the Rocket Factory anomaly. Let's imagine Rocket Factory would have won the competition, be the only one offering, and then suddenly they are grounded. So what does Europe do? I think Europe has seen the dependency of very few launches, and we have seen what happened in the past 2-3 years. I think someone mentioned we have seen so far 185 launches this year. I think one was out of Europe.
Oh,
if you called French Guiana being out of Europe, so
yeah,
absolutely. God, that's astonishing. It's astonishing, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah. Do you want anyone want any more questions? Daz, do you have any questions for Robin?
Yeah, just a quick one, Robin. As you know, the UK are investing in spaceports, but they're also investing in things called space hubs, where they're encouraging the industry to gather into sort of areas so that they're all together, and then they can all, interconnect and things like that. Do you know if there's any plans for them to develop a space hub actually at Saxavord, or just away from Saxavord, of course, for safety reasons? Do you know if that's on the cards?
I'm not aware that that UK or Scottish government is planning to have a space hub on Shetland. From my perspective, I would say it would make sense for various reasons. Obviously, if we fast forward in 5-6 years' time and we have up to 30 launch slots, so that means a launch basically every 2 weeks, which will mean that there will be a lot of people from the space industry on Shetland. So just by virtue of this fact of all the people gathering already up on Shetland just for launch activities, it would vouch for building on that. But then again, Shetland Islands have 23,000 people living on. So, and you mentioned it's still remote. So if you want to have a space hub, maybe mainland Scotland is not a bad idea. And I think there are already quite a few space hubs, which you mentioned, on mainland.
Just on the mainland.
And just to finish and just reading what Ian just said, it just take a little more than taking the bus from Inverness to flying to Shetland, because you still have to take two inter-island ferries.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
I'll tell you where Ian's interest comes from. Ian is actually in the north of Scotland, and we've sort of roped him into being our Saxavord correspondent. So we hope he's going to make a few trips to Saxavord. But I mean, building a hub there would be logistically very difficult because of the remoteness and the lack of communication.
Yeah, I can just imagine Ian turning up with his testicle tent. With a little burner, waiting for the wrapped up and all that. So just imagine that.
Just a couple more. Sorry, just a couple more questions, actually, Robin. Have you had any problems with any sort of environment issues, like any activists in the area for what you're doing at Saxavord?
I will answer it like that. So Ernst has 600 people living on, and I think we had 3 objections. So,
Okay,
I mean, obviously, you will always have objections. So, let's say 5-6 kilometers away, you have Hermanus, which is one of the biggest bird reservations in the
that's
UK.
right. Yeah.
So, we had some reservations with regards from ornithologists. I'm always amazed by how fond the UK and UK people are about ornithology, but that's a different topic. So you'll have to explain it to me one day.
That's right.
But then I think the ornithologists then turned the biggest enemy was the onshore wind farm on mainland, installing 400 wind turbines. So I think that's more detrimental to birds than our own side. Now, and also since we have had also already activities on islands, so I mentioned the engine test from high impulse, I mentioned the engine test of latitude, the stage test from Rocket Factory. These engines run for 40 seconds and plus on the ground. When you have a launch, you hear the noise for a few seconds.
Yeah.
We have monitored the wildlife and how the wildlife reacts to the engine tests. The first test, we saw a few birds flying away, but then coming back 2 minutes later, sheep raised their head, and the second engine test they didn't even anymore. So,
did you see what SpaceX did with the birds at Boca Chica? Was it the birds? I think it was the birds, wasn't it?
No, I did not.
Well, people were moaning about exactly this, that the noise of the rockets could upset the birds and damage their hearing. So SpaceX went and put headphones on the birds and played the sound of a rocket.
It was a seal, wasn't it? Was it a seal?
Oh, it was
a seal. That's right. It wasn't birds.
Yeah.
But they gave the seal headphones and played back the sound of a rocket launch, and the seal just wasn't concerned in the slightest. Didn't appear to mind whatsoever. Yeah.
Just another anecdote. Actually, since we started construction on the Lambenis Peninsula, wildlife has increased.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
And apparently so because the predators have left. So no, jokes aside, I think the environmental issues are something we need to take seriously, and we want to take serious as well. But as I said, we are monitoring, and so far we don't see too many impediments. So
yeah, I mean, and another point, Cape Canaveral Air Force Station or Spaceport Station now is itself a nature reserve, is it not? And it's protected as such as well. So it does work with nature as well as scientific endeavours like this. I met you.
I mean, if you look in, sorry, Michael. If you look in Florida, they've got alligators, and they're considered they're security guards.
Security guards, exactly. Yeah. I saw them. Yes.
Yeah.
Robin, I met you at the air show at Farnborough back in July. Did you enjoy your visit there? Have you been to Farnborough before in your earlier career?
It was the second time I was attending Farnborough Air Show. It's as I said, you asked me earlier whether I'm enjoying my journey at Saxavord. It's what makes it so incredible. You see the power of innovation in the space and airspace and defense industry. And it's I always say to my kids, I wish I was their age, because what I see in terms of innovation coming up, it's I hope I'll live long enough to see them. I'm pretty sure I will, but it's I would not only see them, but also like them to see them develop and
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because we're all Apollo babies, and the innovation and the creativity that we've seen since then is unbelievable, especially in the last sort of like 10, 20 years. Is fantastic.
It's unbelievable.
So,
mind you, when I say to people that I'm a child of Apollo, they seem to think it's some sort of religious sect. So I didn't talk about it much. But I say this to my daughter, Robin, who's 13. And I say, you have no idea what's going to happen over the next 10, 20 years in space. It's going to be unbelievable. She doesn't give a damn. But I do try.
Not yet, no.
Not yet.
As Brian Cox said, we are living in a golden age of discovery.
We are. We are, absolutely.
And innovation, basically.
Well, when you think that the oft-quoted figure, although I'm sure it's no longer accurate, but it used to be said that what we know about the universe is doubling every 10 years. And that's accelerating a lot.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So I think we're all in. If we live long enough, Michael, we're all in for a golden age. So
at least for Europa Clipper.
yeah. Ian. Ian says before he commits to being a roving reporter at Saxavord, perhaps he ought to come on the show a few times.
Anytime.
Yeah. Ian, anytime you like. Just if you like. I'm not sure we have your email address. Has anybody got Ian's email address?
I'm not sure.
I might have it somewhere.
You might have it somewhere. Okay. Well, if we have, we'll
Probably been blocked. So.
Yeah. But I tell you what you could do. You could send it to me on Messenger. Send me your email address, and we'll. I could do it by Messenger. Why bother with email? Email's so passe. Just contact me on Messenger, Ian, and I'll send you the link to join. And perhaps if you want to join next week, you're more than welcome. So we'd love to have you and meet you in the flesh, as it were, virtually in the flesh, if that makes sense. Right. Any other questions for Robin, Michael?
Not from me. I think I've had enough. Had a good talk, really.
Yeah.
We'll be watching the progress of Saxavord. We're all keen to see a launch from there.
Yeah.
We may hire a caravan or something and pop up. You never know. Just take a jolly jaunt up there.
We might even have a Space Oddities jolly.
Yeah. Bring a barbecue and then we'll sit and watch the launch. But we're all eager for success.
And
it was a bit of a disappointment with what happened a few weeks back, but onwards and upwards. We know we're going to get there eventually, and hopefully you'll be flying on a regular basis from Saxavord. So more power to your elbow.
Absolutely, all the very best, Robin. You are welcome to stay with us for the rest of the show, but if you have other things to do, then please don't be frightened to just disappear.
No, so, I will. I'm looking forward to watch your Starship video. So
okay.
Now.
Right.
Can I just say? I'll just say that space is hard, but it's very, very interesting.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right.
So thank you for your insight into Saxavord.
And thank you for being here, Robin. Yeah. Very kind of you to spare the time.
My pleasure. Now I'll stay a little long. Stay on a little longer, just in case I read questions. So and then if you allow me to answer,
we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, viewers, if you have any questions for Robin, ask them while he's still here. So do put them in the chat, and Robin will answer them. So there we are. Okay, let's try the news again, shall we?
Technology is hard, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Space Oddities is hard.
But we do try.
Yeah.
My view on that, as someone who seems to be unable to connect, is technology is great until it goes rogue.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So anyway, do you have any questions for Robin, Aaron?
No, I do not. I'm excited and wonderful news, and I'm looking forward to going and visiting.
Oh, do you think you might?
Oh,
one never knows. One never knows.
Yeah, I might as well.
Well, just get in touch.
Yeah,
there we are.
I'm just thinking, Andy, is there any more happening with the Spanish space industry? Because you actually launched a rocket.
Well, I was reading an article about the company who are planning this launch of a Spanish rocket from here. Well, not from Catalonia, but from the centre of Spain.
Yeah.
But I cannot for the life of me remember what the article said. Wasn't
the company called Miura or something like that?
Yes, that's right, Miura. Yes, that's right. But they've got big plans apparently. That's perhaps I didn't read all the article. Perhaps I just didn't have time to read it. But they've got big plans. So you heard it.
That was it. Big plans.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. Let's go over to the news. Right. Let's hope this works. Okay. So.
Oh dear.
Right. Are we actually going to be there? Right. So just to reiterate, this is the Sunday Starship launch. This amazing mission. I'll show you the launch. 2 views of the booster landing, and then the Starship landing. And this is from the booster itself. No sound on this one. But they're about to position a 71-meter rocket weighing over 200 tons to within a centimeter of where it needed to be on the rail of the chopsticks coming up now. Look at that. First time attempt at a catch, and they did it. And here's the Starship landing in the Indian Ocean. So there we are. So that was the momentous event that will go down in the history books, almost certainly. But then, of course, yesterday, as you will know if you were watching our live coverage, here's the moment that the Europa Clipper detached from the Falcon upper stage, and
Europa Clipper separation.
And Europa Clipper is on its way to Jupiter.
NASA's Europa Clipper probe, embarking on a long-awaited mission to study Jupiter's icy moon Europa. And what a sight!
That is absolutely gorgeous, Gerald, to see Europa Clipper on its way. Successful deployment from Stage 2. Falcon Heavy performed very well today. Teams behind us are clapping and enjoying. That is a beautiful picture.
Absolutely. So there we are. So the Europa Clipper is on its way to Jupiter, which it will reach back end of 29, early days of 30, I think. It will, of course, join the European Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, JUICE, which launched last year. So JUICE is going to study not just Europa, but Ganymede and Callisto as well. That should be absolutely amazing to see. And then the two spacecraft will collaborate on studying Europa and working out things that we don't know, and important things we don't know about Europa, like how thick is its ice shell, what's the surface chemical composition exactly, are there really plumes of vapor shooting out from cryovolcanism on the surface of Europa, lots of things. So excitement guaranteed around 2029, 2030. Long way to wait, but I guarantee it'll be worth it. Okay, moving on to Mars. These are some amazing images taken by the Mars Express around the South Polar region of Mars. This is a very, very bizarre landscape. Not quite worked out yet exactly what's going on there. Here's another one, but I just thought I'd show these lovely images because they're so alien and so, not like anything on Earth that I've seen anyway. And also staying with Mars, the Perseverance rover has seen this rock just sitting on its own. It's being called, for obvious reasons, the Zebra Rock. And NASA planetary scientists not quite sure what this is, but it appears to have rolled down the slope behind it from an outcrop higher up of this type of rock. And Perseverance is actually climbing up towards that point. So we might well see a lot more of it. I spoke to Keith Moseley, who you probably know from Space Oddities, who is a geologist. I asked him about this. And he said that it's very similar to a type of volcanic rock on Earth called an ignimbrite, which is basically ejected from a volcano in pyroclastic flows. Put my teeth in. So Keith reckoned that this was, I think looking at the two, you can see that they're actually quite similar. So Keith may have identified it as an ignimbrite, but again, it's more evidence of Mars's volcanic past. So thank you for that information, Keith. And we'll have to see what the planetary scientists make of it, the planetary geologists, and to see whether Perseverance does find an outcrop of this type of rock further up, which will shed more light on Mars' volcanic past. Then moving on, now this is an interesting one. I wish Lou were here tonight, because I know he'd love this. want to talk about an exoplanet called WASP 49b. Now, the WASP system is about 554, give or take 65 light years away, or 170 parsecs. It's an interesting system because it has one planet, WASP 49b, and you can see there the size of WASP 49b on the right compared to the planets in the solar system. Now, why has this been in the news? Well, they've detected calcium around this planet. This is very interesting because what they think it means, well, first of all, they've discovered that it's not part of the atmosphere, it's actually a ring around the planet. This seems to indicate that it's coming actually from a moon, and that moon is highly volcanic and leaving volcanic material behind it in its orbit. And here's what they think it actually might look like. And this will be, if it's confirmed, and it is very difficult to confirm. The James Webb Telescope, of course, has produced a transmission spectrum from the atmosphere of this planet and found this ring around it, which does indicate a moon, leaving igneous or volcanic material behind it in its wake. And if so, this will be the first confirmed moon orbiting a planet around another star, and B, that it's volcanic, which it is. This is a gas giant, needless to say. It's about the mass of Saturn. It's very close to its star, as they tend to be. So it's probably the same sort of things that we see on Io. And actually this moon, if it exists, is already being called an exo-Io, where the intense gravity from the star raises tides within the moon itself, tides of rock, of course. Those of you that have been watching Bryant Cox's brilliant new series, The Solar System, will have learned all about that. I think, yes, it was in the first episode. And this is what's causing the volcanism on that moon. So this is an incredible thought that we may have seen volcanism on a moon of another planet orbiting another star. Absolutely stunning stuff. And then lastly today, do you remember I talked to you a couple of weeks ago about the nova in Corona Borealis, which should have happened, according to predictions, in early October. This is the nova in question, or an artist's representation of it. This white dwarf, of course, accumulating material from its parent star, reaching the Chandrasekhar limit of 2.4 solar masses and exploding in a thermonuclear explosion, and then repeating. Well, the idea is that it does this particular nova happens every 80 years, and astronomers were expecting it to happen this month, and it hasn't, at least not so far. So keep your eyes open in the news for news of that, because it will be at its peak brightness for only a few hours. So you have to rush out and try and find it if your skies are clear, of course. To find this, it's very easy. You follow the handle of the plough, or Ursa Major, if you like, down, or the asterism in Ursa Major, I should say, down, and the next bright star you come to is Arcturus. And if you keep going left from that, you come to the constellation of Corona Borealis. Now, it's not going to light up the sky, be the brightest thing in the night sky, as some parts of the media have been claiming in obviously clickbait. But it isn't going to be a new star. It's going to be about as bright as the pole star, about as bright as Polaris. So it should be noticeable if you're familiar with the stars that are already there. So there we have the news for this week. Not a great deal, but I hope you enjoyed that. Robin, what did you think of the Starship landing then? Wasn't that astonishing?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. I'm looking forward to see that happening on Saxavord. No, it's it is quite impressive indeed.
Yeah, it'd be wonderful to see something like that at Saxavord, because I know a little while ago SpaceX were looking around the world for launch and landing sites, So you never know. So that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Let's get a launch first, and then we'll look
Yeah,
forward.
yeah, okay. Baby steps, baby steps. Yeah, absolutely. So, what about you, Michael and Daz? I mean, you know, we were open-mouthed, jaws on the floor, weren't we, during the live stream? It was
as I said, it was just like Thunderbirds, wasn't it? It was
pure Thunderbirds. It was just
what you just said about SpaceX, maybe idea of coming to Saxavord, maybe with Saxavord today, Saxavord tomorrow, the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I don't know how many different versions I've watched of that cat.
Oh yeah.
And of course, then we got the views from the actual booster itself coming in and from the tower, and it's just it's the precision. That's what really stifles me. It was so perfect.
Sub-centimeter precision.
It really was. And Derek's asking, was that 200 tons when it took off or landed? Well, that was when it landed.
Yeah.
It weighed a lot more when it took off.
Yeah.
Talking about the images, just the images from the Starship in orbit.
Beautiful.
You know, the quality of the images there. And I don't know if you noticed, on the top right, it said powered by Starlink, of course.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Well, that's
the other
they
thing
can keep
sorry. The other thing as well, we know that when the Starship landed, it tipped over, inevitably, and exploded. And I've seen people on social media predictably saying, "Oh, SpaceX, all their rockets always explode," and a load of nonsense. Well, I just want to set the record straight. The reason it exploded was because you had cold seawater entering a vehicle that was literally red hot.
Yeah.
That seawater would immediately flash to steam. The pressure of that steam blew the fuel tanks apart, and a spark ignited it. So this will not happen when they launch back at when they land back at Boca Chica on the tower, as they plan to. So this was just an effect of cold water and hot temperatures mixing and producing.
If you remember when they recovered the booster from the last launch at this landing, it will splash down at sea. That had experienced some sort of rud. You could see that, and again, like I say, you've got this really hot material. If you dunk it straight into cold water, you're going to get failures. Because we were sort of like discussing when we watched it, because you had those little fires at the bottom, and we were trying to decide, how are we going to put those out? We could have extinguishers coming from the side of the tower. We could have a deluge system pushing back out against it. But the thing is, if you douse it in cold water, you're going to cause more damage. But like I say, it's all down to the data now. They've got to analyze the data, see what those problems are, correct them, and we're laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Well, we're not.
Yeah, Graham says that capture arm must have a relatively soft touch to avoid crushing the skin.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because if you see when it comes down from the view, actually, you can see the pin that it's landing on. It's only a small thing. It's not a big pin. As it comes down, it does actually touch the side of the booster before it actually just slides down onto that thing. But it doesn't sort of seem to deflect it. If it does, it's very, very little.
The engineering is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And not German engineering, but I guarantee no. But listen, German engineering got us to the moon, so
Well, definitely, yeah.
Germany's done its bit for space travel, definitely.
Yeah.
So there we are. So that's the news for today. Hopefully, bring you some more news next week. But the last couple of weeks have been a bit quiet on the old news front. Nothing worth reporting really, apart from what you've seen.
Well, we just been waiting for the launches, because we've been inundated with quite a few launches.
We've had a busy time as far as launches go.
And of course, if we had the splashdown of Crew 8, are they back? They're back.
They should be, yes.
Oh, yes, Crew 8. Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
Crew 8 are back.
They left on Sunday, I think it was.
Yeah,
I think they came back Monday. So we missed that. So
that news. the one launch we didn't cover. We had a choice on Sunday of which launch we were going to cover. Were we going to cover the Starship, or were we going to cover Jeff Bezos' flying penis, the new Shepard? It wasn't a difficult decision at the end of the day. Let's put it like that. But there was a great irony in this. Actually, I have to share this with you. That we saw what GPS can do in guiding that Starship booster down to sub-centimeter precision.
Yeah.
And New Shepard launch was delayed because of problems with the GPS positioning system. So there was quite an irony in that. Come on, Jeff, 24 years, and that's all you can manage to put up. So there's a message there somewhere. Yeah, so Blue Origin have been in existence 2 years longer than SpaceX, and they've just got this flying phallic-shaped thing to take billionaires to the edge of space after 24 years. Whoopee! So
They'll get their unicorn up there one day. So the mythical. So, yeah. But yeah, the thing is, they need to do something very, very quickly. The same with ULA. They've got to get their act together with the Vulcan, because we need I say competition against SpaceX, but I think cost is going to be the deciding factor there.
It's
Alternatives.
Yeah, need some alternatives. Yeah, I mean, I know ULA. They're basically contracted to the MOD for their future launches, and they've got to. But again, they've got to up their production to get these launches away because they're stacking them up. I mean, they have been fined already because of the delays, but we want to see more and more stuff launching and getting into space. So. Without all the drama that's been going on, we don't need the drama. But yeah, let's get things up in space. Let's get them flying. Let's get Saxavord up there, and get SpaceX at that Saxavord, and we'll all be up there.
Yeah. By the way, Robin, we say this to all our guests. If you would like to come back on any Tuesday to join us just for a chat, or if you've got any news that you want to share with us, you're always welcome. So you've got the link. It doesn't change. If you've got absolutely nothing better to do on a Tuesday, you're more than welcome to join us anytime.
Yeah,
I will.
I was just thinking with Saxavord, would Shetland survive 33 Raptors?
Probably not. No.
Good point.
We'll see. I guess I'll leave you to continue. I will just say, obviously, because we have talked about launch. Let's not forget, launch is just a means to an end. So we can all get excited about seeing the rockets launch, and it's indeed spectacular. But I think why we are doing it is to put payloads and satellites up in the air to provide us data and valuable data. And I think that's where the innovation will lie. Actually, is lying, and what makes us excited about tomorrow, and which would hope. Makes us want to be a little younger. So.
Yes, God, yeah. You think you've got problems, Robin? Absolutely. All right. So what we'll do now, I think, because we're a bit thin on the ground tonight, we haven't actually got any presentations from anybody. So I think we'll move over to Daz. Oh, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go to Rogers first.
Don't come to me because my bandwidth isn't big enough to do it.
But I'm sure you've got something to say about the last few days.
Yeah. Oh well, we've got a lot to say, but I can't show anything because of the bandwidth.
All right, well, let's go to Roger first then. So as I said, Roger couldn't be with us this evening, but he did make a video for us.
Hi, Robin.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Robin. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Lovely to see you.
Thank you, Robin. Lovely meeting you.
Thanks.
Take care.
My pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Roger has prepared this video, and as I said, I haven't really watched it. I haven't had time, so we presume it's okay. So let's give it a go.
And good evening for another week's What is in the Night Sky. And here we go for